The arrival. The Galactic Institute of Higher Learning hung suspended in space, a gleaming beacon of knowledge that drew the brightest minds from across the cosmos. Its crystalline spires and swirling energy fields were a testament to the advanced civilizations that had contributed to its creation. For millennia, it had been the epicenter of scientific discovery and cultural exchange for thousands of alien species. Today, however, the Institute's tranquil atmosphere was charged with an unusual excitement. For the first time in its long history, a human was joining its ranks. Dr. Zixlara, the Institute's headmistress, nervously adjusted her tentacles as she waited in the main teleportation chamber. Her iridescent scales shimmered with anticipation. "Are you certain the coordinates are correct?" Glibglob. She asked the gelatinous blob operating the controls. Glibglob's eye stalks swiveled in affirmation. "Absolutely, headmistress. The human's biosignature is locked and ready for transport." As if on cue, the teleportation pad hummed to life. A swirling vortex of energy coalesced into a humanoid shape, and suddenly, she was there. Samantha Chen, age 18, stumbled slightly as she materialized. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her brown eyes widened as she took in her alien surroundings. She clutched a battered backpack to her chest, like a shield. "Welcome to the Galactic Institute of Higher Learning, Samantha Chen of Earth," Dr. Zixlara said, her universal translator converting her clicks and whistles into English. "We are honored to have you as our first human student." Samantha swallowed hard, fighting back a wave of nausea from the teleportation. "Thank you, Doctor." Zixlara. The headmistress supplied helpfully. "I understand pronouncing alien names can be challenging. Please, call me headmistress if it's easier." Samantha nodded gratefully. "Thank you, headmistress. I'm honored to be here." She looked around the chamber, taking in the swirling energy patterns and the diverse array of alien life forms. A small crowd had gathered to witness her arrival, their curious eyes, or other sensory organs, fixed upon her. Dr. Zixlara gestured with a tentacle. "Allow me to introduce your student liaison, Crix. They will help you acclimate to life at the Institute." A being that looked like a cross between a praying mantis and a sunflower stepped forward. Its petals ruffled in what Samantha hoped was a friendly manner. "Greetings, Samantha Chen," Crix said, their voice a melodious hum. "I look forward to facilitating your integration into our academic community." "Hi, Crix," Samantha managed, offering a small wave. "Thanks for helping me out." As Crix led Samantha away to show her to her quarters, the assembled aliens burst into excited chatter. "Did you see how inefficiently she moves?" one multi-limbed being remarked. "How do humans manage with only 4 appendages? I heard their lifespans are ridiculously short." Another alien whispered. "Barely a century. How can they learn anything substantial in such a brief existence?" Dr. Zixlara silenced the murmurs with a stern look. "Remember, we are scientists and scholars. Let us reserve judgment and observe. Humans have achieved spaceflight and joined the galactic community despite their perceived limitations. There must be more to them than meets the eye." As the crowd dispersed, the headmistress couldn't shake a feeling of unease. Integrating a human into the Institute would be challenging, but she had a nagging suspicion that Samantha Chen's presence would have far greater repercussions than anyone could predict. Meanwhile, Samantha followed Crix through twisting corridors that seemed to defy Euclidean geometry. Holographic displays flickered with equations and diagrams she couldn't begin to comprehend. Aliens of all shapes and sizes hurried past, some flying, others slithering, a few seemingly phasing in and out of reality. "This will be your personal habitation unit," Crix announced, stopping before a door that raised open at their approach. Samantha stepped inside, marveling at the room that seemed to adapt to her presence. The bed reshaped itself to better accommodate human physiology, and the environmental controls adjusted to Earth normal gravity and atmosphere. "Thanks, Crix," Samantha said, setting down her backpack. "This is overwhelming." Crix's pedals vibrated in what might have been sympathy. Understandable. The Institute can be quite stimulating for new arrivals. Perhaps you would like to rest and acclimate before your orientation. Samantha nodded gratefully. That would be great. When should I be ready for orientation? I will alert you via the room's neural interface in approximately 3 Earth hours, Crix replied. Until then, feel free to utilize the room's amenities. The molecular synthesizer can replicate any Earth foods you might desire. As Crix departed, Samantha sank onto the bed, her head spinning. She was really here, light years from Earth, about to study alongside the most brilliant minds in the galaxy. The excitement she'd felt during the long application process was now tinged with a healthy dose of fear. What have I gotten myself into? She muttered, fishing a small framed photo from her backpack. It showed her family, Mom, Dad, and little brother Tommy, all smiling on a camping trip last summer. Tears pricked at her eyes as homesickness washed over her. Samantha set the photo on a floating shelf that materialized beside her bed. I won't let you down, she promised the smiling faces. I'm going to prove that humans belong out here among the stars. With a deep breath, she stood and approached the molecular synthesizer. Okay, let's see what this thing can do. Computer, can I get a cheeseburger, fries, and a chocolate milkshake? To her amazement, the requested meal appeared in a shimmer of light. Samantha took a tentative bite of the burger and grinned. It tasted like home. As she ate, Samantha's mind raced with questions. What would her classes be like? How would she stack up against aliens who had evolved for intelligence beyond human comprehension? And most importantly, how would she ever manage to make friends in this bizarre new world? Little did Samantha know, but her very presence at the Institute was about to spark a chain of events that would challenge the fundamental assumptions of galactic society and reveal the unique strengths of humanity in ways no one, human or alien, could have anticipated. In her office, Dr. Zixlera reviewed Samantha's file one more time. The human's test scores were impressive by her species standards, but unremarkable compared to the typical Institute applicant. Yet there was something in the girl's application essay that had caught the headmistress's attention. A spark of creativity, a way of looking at problems from unexpected angles. Computer, Dr. Zixlera said, run a predictive analysis. What is the probability that Samantha Chen's presence will significantly impact the Institute within one standard galactic year? The computer hummed for a moment before responding. Probability of significant impact, 0.0000001%. Dr. Zixlera's tentacles curled in amusement. Well, isn't that interesting? She mused. In my experience, when a computer is that certain about an improbable outcome, that's precisely when the universe tends to surprise us. She closed the file and gazed out at the star-studded expanse beyond her window. Whatever happened next, she had a feeling the Galactic Institute of Higher Learning was in for quite an education of its own. Cultural clashes and unexpected talents. The Institute's grand auditorium buzzed with activity as students from across the galaxy gathered for orientation. Samantha sat near the back, trying not to gawk at the dizzying array of alien life forms around her. Some were recognizably Bictal, others defied description. Beings of pure energy, sentient gas clouds, and creatures that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Dr. Zixlera's voice echoed through the chamber, amplified by some unseen technology. Welcome, new students, to the Galactic Institute of Higher Learning. You represent the pinnacle of intellectual achievement from your respective worlds. Here, you will push the boundaries of knowledge and forge connections that will shape the future of our galactic community. As the headmistress continued her speech, Samantha felt a gentle tap on her shoulder. She turned to see a tall, willowy being with skin like polished opal. Greetings, Earth Dweller, the alien whispered, its voice like tinkling crystals. I am Lyra of the Celestial Harmonies. Is it true that humans communicate solely through auditory vibrations? Samantha blinked, caught off guard. Mostly, yeah. We have body language too, but fascinating. Lyra interrupted. Such a limited form of expression. How do you convey complex theoretical concepts? Before Samantha could respond, a gravelly voice joined in. Forget that, rumbled a rock-like creature to her left. I heard humans have to sleep for a third of their day cycle. What a waste of cognitive potential. Samantha felt her cheeks burn as more aliens turned to stare at her. Their whispers grew, a mixture of curiosity and thinly veiled condescension. Please focus your attention on the orientation proceedings, Crix intervened, their flower petals bristling protectively. There will be time for cultural exchange later. Grateful for the reprieve, Samantha tried to concentrate on Dr. Zixlera's words. But her mind kept wandering to the enormous gap between herself and her alien classmates. How could she possibly compete with beings who could perceive quantum fluctuations or process information at the speed of light? The answer came sooner than she expected. Later that day, Samantha found herself in her first class, Multiverse Theory and Practical Applications. The lecturer, a shimmering, multifaceted being named Professor Kix, projected a series of mind-bending equations into the air. Your assignment, Kix announced, their voice resonating on multiple frequencies, is to identify the flaw in this theoretical model for interdimensional travel. You have 1 standard hour. Samantha stared at the floating symbols, most of which looked like abstract art to her human eyes. Around her, aliens began rapid calculations, some interfacing directly with the room's computer systems, others falling into deep meditative states to ponder higher dimensions. Panic rose in Samantha's chest. She couldn't even begin to understand the math involved, let alone find a flaw. But as she scribbled furiously in her notebook, trying to make sense of the problem, something tickled at the back of her mind. The diagram reminded her of something. A game. Yes, that was it. The way the theoretical dimensions interconnected was similar to a puzzle game her little brother was obsessed with. What had Tommy said about solving the higher levels? Sometimes you gotta stop thinking so hard and just feel the pattern. His voice echoed in her memory. Taking a deep breath, Samantha closed her eyes and tried to visualize the equations as a 3D puzzle. She let her mind wander, allowing connections to form intuitively rather than through rigid logic. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open. It's a loop, she muttered. Then louder, Professor Kix. The model creates a causality loop. The room fell silent. All eyes, and other sensory organs, turned to Samantha. Professor Kix's facets sparkled with interest. Explain, student Chen. Fighting down her nervousness, Samantha approached the holographic display. Well, if you look at the way these dimensional pathways intersect, they create a closed time-like curve. Any object traveling through this model would potentially encounter itself, violating causality. She pointed to a specific section of the equation. If you adjust this variable here, it should resolve the paradox and allow for stable interdimensional travel. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Professor Kix's body pulsed with a warm light. Remarkable, student Chen. Your unorthodox approach has identified a subtle flaw that has eluded some of the galaxy's finest minds for decades. It seems humans possess a unique talent for intuitive pattern recognition. A murmur of astonishment rippled through the class. Samantha stood there, shocked by her own success. As they filed out of the classroom, Lyra approached Samantha, her opalescent skin shimmering with excitement. Earth Dweller. Samantha, that was extraordinary. How did you perceive the pattern so quickly? Samantha shrugged, still a bit dazed. I just thought about it differently, I guess. Sometimes humans are good at seeing connections that aren't obvious at first glance. Word of Samantha's achievement spread quickly through the institute. By dinner time, she found herself surrounded by curious aliens in the grand dining hall, all eager to learn more about human cognition. Is it true that humans dream? Asked a gaseous entity, its tendrils of vapor curling inquisitively. Yeah, we do, Samantha replied, growing more comfortable with the attention. Our brains process information and experiences while we sleep. Sometimes it leads to creative insights or problem solving. A cylindrical being with multiple eye stalks leaned in. Fascinating. And you use external tools to augment your limited mental capabilities, correct? Like your primitive digital devices. Samantha bristled slightly at the word primitive, but kept her cool. We do use technology, but it's not just about augmenting our capabilities. Humans are really good at creating tools that work with our natural strengths. We call it user-friendly design. As the conversation flowed, Samantha found herself explaining concepts like intuition, lateral thinking, and the scientific method. The aliens listened with growing interest, their previous dismissiveness giving way to genuine curiosity. In her office, Dr. Zixlera reviewed the day's events with a mixture of surprise and satisfaction. "Computer," she said, "update your analysis. What is the current probability that Samantha Chen's presence will significantly impact the Institute within one standard galactic year?" The computer hummed briefly. Updated probability of significant impact. 12.7%. Dr. Zixlera's tentacles writhed in amusement. "Now that's more like it," she chuckled. "I have a feeling we've only scratched the surface of what our human student can teach us." As the first day at the Galactic Institute drew to a close, Samantha lay in her adaptive bed, her mind whirling with new ideas and possibilities. She had faced her fears, overcome a significant challenge, and begun to bridge the vast cultural divide between herself and her alien classmates. But this was only the beginning. Greater challenges and opportunities lay ahead. As Samantha drifted off to sleep, her dreams were filled with swirling equations, alien landscapes, and the infinite potential of the human mind unleashed among the stars. A looming crisis. As weeks passed at the Galactic Institute, Samantha settled into a routine that was anything but ordinary. Her days were filled with mind-bending lectures on quantum mechanics, xenobiology, and the intricacies of faster-than-light travel. Nights were spent in marathon study sessions with her diverse group of alien friends, each bringing their unique perspectives to their shared academic challenges. Samantha's initial success in the interdimensional travel class had opened doors, but it also raised expectations. She found herself working twice as hard as her alien peers, struggling to keep up with beings whose brains were literally wired for advanced mathematics and abstract thinking. One particularly frustrating evening, Samantha slammed her textbook shut with a groan. "I don't get it. How am I supposed to calculate quantum fluctuations in my head? I'm not a living supercomputer." Lyra, who had become one of Samantha's closest friends, placed a shimmering hand on her shoulder. "Perhaps you are approaching this from the wrong angle, Samantha. Remember how you solved the causality loop problem. You used your human intuition." Cricks, who had joined their study group, bobbed their flower-like head in agreement. "Indeed. While you may lack the raw computational power of some species, your ability to make intuitive leaps and connect disparate concepts is quite remarkable." Samantha managed a small smile. "Thanks, guys. I just wish I could contribute more consistently. Sometimes I feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water here." Little did Samantha know, but her unique human perspective was about to become crucial to the entire institute. The next morning, alarms blared throughout the station. Students and faculty rushed to the central atrium, confusion and fear evident on faces of all species. Dr. Zixlera's voice echoed through the halls. "Attention all institute members. We are facing an unprecedented crisis. Our long-range sensors have detected a massive quantum anomaly heading towards the galactic core. Initial projections suggest it could destabilize hundreds of star systems, potentially leading to the collapse of major sections of the galaxy." A holographic display materialized in the center of the atrium, showing a roiling mass of energy hurtling through space. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. "We are mobilizing all of our resources to study this phenomenon and develop a solution," Dr. Zixlera continued. "All classes are suspended. Those with relevant expertise, please report to your department heads for assignment." As the crowd began to disperse, Samantha felt a twinge of helplessness. What could she possibly contribute to such an overwhelming crisis? Her thoughts were interrupted by Professor Kix, who glided up with an urgent air. "Student Chen, your presence is requested in the high-energy physics lab immediately." Surprised, Samantha followed the shimmering professor through winding corridors. They entered a vast chamber filled with holographic displays and humming equipment. Teams of aliens were hard at work, their tentacles, appendages, and energy fields manipulating complex data streams. Dr. Zixlara stood at the center of the chaos, her scales flashing with stress. "Ah, Samantha, thank you for coming. We need your human perspective on this." "My perspective?" Samantha asked, bewildered. "I'm just a first-year student. What could I possibly offer?" The headmistress's eyes twinkled. "Sometimes fresh eyes see what jaded experts miss. We've made remarkable progress in analyzing the anomaly, but we're stuck on a critical problem. Perhaps you can help us think outside the box, as humans say." Professor Kix projected a new set of equations. "The anomaly appears to be a confluence of quantum events, magnified to a macro scale. We've modeled its behavior, but there's a variable we can't account for. It's as if the anomaly is alive, somehow." Samantha stared at the swirling data, her mind racing. The patterns seemed familiar, but she couldn't quite place them. "Can you show me a visual representation of the anomaly's movement over time?" she asked. A new hologram sprang to life, showing the anomaly's path through the galaxy. Samantha watched, transfixed, as the roiling mass of energy twisted and turned. Suddenly, she gasped, "It's not random. Look at the pattern. It's moving like a murmuration of starlings." Blank looks greeted her exclamation. "A what?" Dr. Zixlara asked. "Starlings. They're birds from Earth," Samantha explained excitedly. "Huge flocks of them move together in complex patterns. It looks chaotic, but it's actually thousands of individuals following simple rules, creating emergent behavior." She pointed to specific parts of the hologram. "See how it reacts to gravitational fields. It's not just being pulled by them. It's actively avoiding densely populated areas. What if the anomaly isn't a single entity, but a huge collection of quantum particles behaving like a flock?" The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Then, a flurry of activity erupted as scientists began recalculating their models based on Samantha's insight. Hours passed in a blur of feverish work. Samantha found herself at the heart of it, her human intuition bridging gaps in alien logic. She suggested modeling the anomaly's behavior on other examples of emergent systems from Earth, everything from ant colonies to traffic patterns. As the sun of the local star system set, casting the lab in an ethereal glow, a breakthrough finally came. "We've done it," Professor Kix announced, their facets gleaming with excitement. "By treating the anomaly as a complex adaptive system, we've fully mapped its behavior. We can predict its movements with 99.98% accuracy." Cheers erupted throughout the lab. Samantha found herself engulfed in a many-limbed hug from Dr. Zixlara. "Remarkable work, my dear," the headmistress beamed. "Your unique perspective may have saved billions of lives." But as the celebration died down, a sobering reality set in. Lyra, who had joined the physics team, approached with a grave expression. "We can predict it, yes. But can we stop it? The anomaly is still on a collision course with the galactic core." Dr. Zixlara's tentacles drooped. "She's right. We've made incredible progress, but we're still no closer to a solution. The anomaly will reach the core in less than a standard week, if we can't divert or neutralize it by then." She didn't need to finish the thought. Everyone in the room knew the stakes. Billions of lives, countless civilizations, hung in the balance. Samantha stared at the holographic representation of the anomaly, her mind racing. They had unlocked its secrets, understood its behavior. Now they just needed to find a way to communicate with it, to guide it away from disaster. As exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her, a crazy idea began to form in Samantha's mind. It was risky, possibly suicidal, but it just might work. "I think I know how we can stop it," she said softly, then with growing confidence. "But you're all going to think I'm insane." All eyes in the lab turned to her. Dr. Zixlera leaned in, her voice filled with desperate hope. "At this point, my dear, we're open to any ideas, no matter how outlandish. What do you propose?" Samantha took a deep breath, steeling herself for the reactions her plan would provoke. "We need to dance with it. Unconventional solutions." A stunned silence fell over the lab following Samantha's proclamation. Dr. Zixlera's tentacles twisted in confusion. "Dance with it? I'm afraid I don't understand, Samantha. How can we possibly dance with a quantum anomaly?" Samantha took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. "Okay, bear with me here. We've established that the anomaly behaves like a murmuration of starlings, right? It's a complex adaptive system responding to its environment. What if we could influence its behavior by creating a sort of quantum choreography?" She gestured to the holographic display. "Look at how it moves. It's not just avoiding gravitational fields, it's responding to them. What if we could create a series of controlled quantum fluctuations to guide it away from the galactic core?" Professor Kicks's facets sparkled with intrigue. "Fascinating. You're suggesting we essentially leave the anomaly in a cosmic dance, using precisely calculated quantum pulses as our steps." "Exactly." Samantha nodded enthusiastically. "We'd need to calculate the perfect sequence of pulses to influence its movement without causing it to disperse or collapse." Lyra's opalescent skin shimmered with excitement. "It's brilliant. But how do we generate quantum fluctuations powerful enough to affect something of this scale?" A gravelly voice spoke up from the back of the room. It was Grok, the rock-like alien who had initially dismissed Samantha's human limitations. "We could use the Institute's quantum resonance chamber. If we modify it to produce synchronized pulses, it might just be powerful enough." Dr. Zixlera's eyes narrowed in thought. "It's an enormous risk. We'd be betting the fate of the galaxy on an untested theory based on the behavior of Earthbirds." "Do we have any other options?" Samantha asked quietly. The headmistress's tentacles drooped. "No, I'm afraid we don't." "Very well, let's put this plan into action. We have less than a week to choreograph the most important dance in galactic history." The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. The entire institute mobilized to support the effort. Quantum physicists worked alongside xenobiologists and chaos theorists to model the anomaly's potential responses. Engineers labored around the clock to modify the quantum resonance chamber. Samantha found herself at the heart of it all, her unique human perspective bridging gaps in alien logic. She spent hours poring over data on starling murmurations, ant colony behaviors, and other emergent systems from Earth. As the deadline loomed closer, tensions ran high. There were setbacks and moments of despair. More than once, Samantha caught alien students whispering about the foolishness of trusting the fate of the galaxy to a human child's intuition. But there were moments of hope, too. Late one night, as Samantha was close to collapsing from exhaustion, she felt a gentle tap on her shoulder. She looked up to see Grok, the once dismissive rock alien, offering her a steaming cup of synthesized coffee. "You're doing good work, human," Grok rumbled. "Your species may be young, but you have a spark, a way of seeing connections that we miss. Don't give up." Samantha smiled gratefully, touched by the gesture. As she sipped the coffee, which tasted surprisingly like her mom's homemade brew, she realized how far she'd come. She was no longer just a curiosity or an outlier. She was part of this community, bringing her own unique strengths to bear on a problem that threatened them all. Finally, after days of non-stop work, they were ready. The modified quantum resonance chamber hummed with potential energy. A complex series of quantum pulses had been programmed, ready to lead the anomaly in an intricate dance away from the galactic core. As the anomaly approached, the entire institute gathered in the main atrium. Holographic displays showed its ominous approach, a swirling mass of quantum energy that dwarfed star systems. Dr. Zixlera addressed the assembled crowd, her voice solemn. "We stand at a pivotal moment in galactic history. Our plan is unconventional, born from the unique perspective of our human student, Samantha Chen. It may seem like madness to trust in a strategy inspired by the flight patterns of Earth birds, but it is also our last, best hope. She turned to Samantha, who stood nervously by the main control panel. Samantha, when you're ready. Taking a deep breath, Samantha placed her hand on the activation switch. She thought of Earth, of her family, of all the billions of lives across the galaxy hanging in the balance. Here goes everything, she murmured, and threw the switch. The quantum resonance chamber roared to life. Waves of energy pulsed outward, precisely calibrated to influence the anomaly's movement. On the holographic display, everyone watched with bated breath as the swirling mass of quantum particles approached the first pulse. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, almost imperceptibly at first, the anomaly began to shift. It swayed, following the quantum choreography laid out before it. A cheer went up from the crowd, quickly hushed as they realized this was only the beginning. For hours, they watched as the cosmic dance unfolded. The anomaly twisted and turned, sometimes cooperating, sometimes fighting against their influence. Samantha stood vigil at the controls, making minute adjustments to the pulse sequences based on the anomaly's reactions. Her mind raced, drawing on everything she'd learned about complex systems and emergent behaviors. As the final, crucial moment approached, the point where the anomaly would either veer away from the galactic core or continue on its collision course, Samantha felt a strange sense of calm wash over her. In that moment, she understood the dance on an almost instinctive level. She made one last adjustment, a subtle change to the rhythm of the pulses. On the display, the anomaly shuddered, then smoothly curved away from its destructive path. It spiraled outward, following their quantum lead into the vast, empty regions between galactic arms. The atrium erupted in jubilant celebration. Aliens of all species embraced, their differences forgotten in the shared joy of survival. Samantha found herself lifted onto the shoulders of her classmates, their voices raised in cheers and songs of victory. As the euphoria of the moment began to fade, the full impact of what they'd accomplished started to sink in. They had faced an unprecedented threat and emerged victorious, not through overwhelming force or advanced technology alone, but through a combination of diverse perspectives and unconventional thinking. Dr. Zixlera approached Samantha, her scales shimmering with pride. Samantha Chen of Earth, you have done a great service to the galaxy this day. Your unique human insight, combined with the collective knowledge of the Institute, has saved countless lives. Samantha blushed, feeling both elated and overwhelmed. I couldn't have done it without everyone here. It was a team effort. The headmistress nodded sagely. Indeed it was. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson we can take from this experience. The true strength of the galactic community lies not in the superiority of any one species, but in our ability to come together, to combine our diverse strengths and perspectives. As the celebration continued around them, Samantha gazed out at the star-studded expanse visible through the atrium's transparent dome. She thought about how far she'd come, from a nervous Earth girl to someone who had helped save the galaxy. But this wasn't an ending, she realized. It was a beginning. The events of the past week had opened new avenues of research, new ways of thinking about the universe, and humanity, with its unique blend of intuition, creativity, and determination, had proven it had an important role to play in shaping the future of galactic civilization. With a smile, Samantha turned back to her friends and classmates. There was still so much to learn, so many new challenges to face. But now, she knew that together, there was nothing they couldn't accomplish. The Galactic Institute of Higher Learning would never be the same, and neither would the galaxy itself. A new galactic perspective. In the months following the quantum anomaly crisis, the Galactic Institute of Higher Learning underwent a profound transformation. The success of Samantha's unconventional solution had sent shockwaves through the academic community, challenging long-held assumptions about intelligence, problem-solving, and the value of diverse perspectives. Dr. Zixlera stood before the Institute's Grand Council, her tentacles swaying with barely contained excitement as she presented her proposal. Esteemed colleagues, the events of recent months have made it clear that our approach to galactic academia must evolve. I propose a radical restructuring of our curriculum and research priorities, with a focus on interdisciplinary collaboration and the integration of unique species perspectives. The council chamber buzzed with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Change did not come easily to an institution as old as the galaxy itself, but the memory of how close they had come to catastrophe and how an unexpected solution had saved them was still fresh in everyone's minds. Meanwhile, Samantha found herself at the center of a whirlwind of attention. Overnight, she had gone from being an oddity to a celebrity. Alien news networks clamored for interviews, and she received invitations to speak at conferences across the galaxy. But fame, it turned out, came with its own set of challenges. "I don't know how much more of this I can take," Samantha confided to Lyra and Crix as they huddled in a quiet corner of the Institute's arboretum. "Everyone keeps asking me to solve their problems or predict the future. I'm not some kind of oracle. I just had one good idea." Lyra's opalescent skin shimmered sympathetically. The galaxy is still adjusting to the idea that a species as young as humanity could have so much to offer. Give them time. Crix's pupils ruffled in agreement. "Indeed. And remember, Samantha, your contribution wasn't just the idea itself. You showed us all the value of thinking differently, of combining perspectives in new ways." As if to underscore Crix's point, a group of students from various species approached their corner. A shimmer of nervousness passed through the group before a brave Medusan floated forward, its tentacles twisting anxiously. "Excuse me, Samantha," it burbled. "We were wondering if you might be interested in joining our new cross-species problem-solving club. We're trying to tackle some of the galaxy's biggest challenges by combining our unique cognitive approaches." Samantha blinked in surprise, then smiled. "That sounds amazing. I'd love to join." As the group excitedly discussed their plans, Samantha felt a weight lift from her shoulders. This was why she had come to the Institute in the first place, not to be a lone human savior, but to learn and grow alongside beings from across the cosmos. Weeks turned into months, and the changes at the Institute began to bear fruit. New courses sprang up, with titles like Comparative Cognitive Approaches and Xenocultural Perspectives in Scientific Inquiry. Research teams were restructured to ensure a diversity of species and cognitive styles on every project. The results were nothing short of revolutionary. Breakthrough after breakthrough emerged from the Institute's labs and classrooms. Long-standing problems in quantum mechanics, faster than light travel, and even galactic ecology began to yield to the power of truly collaborative, multi-species inquiry. 1 year to the day after the quantum anomaly crisis, the Institute held a special ceremony to commemorate the event and celebrate their new direction. The main atrium was packed with students, faculty, and dignitaries from across the galaxy. Dr. Zixlera took the stage, her scales gleaming under the lights. "A year ago, we faced a threat that nearly destroyed our galaxy. We were saved not by the most advanced technology or the most brilliant individual mind, but by the combination of diverse perspectives and the courage to try something utterly new." She gestured to where Samantha sat with her friends. "Samantha Chen of Earth showed us that true innovation often comes from unexpected places. Her human intuition, combined with the vast knowledge and varied cognitive approaches of our galactic community, opened new pathways of discovery that we are only beginning to explore." The headmistress's voice grew solemn. "But let us not forget the deeper lesson of that day. The quantum anomaly was a natural phenomenon, but it is not the only threat we face. Somewhere out there in the vast cosmos, there may be challenges that no single species can overcome alone. It is only by coming together, by embracing our differences and combining our strengths, that we can hope to face whatever the universe may throw at us." A ripple of agreement passed through the crowd. Samantha felt a swell of pride and purpose. She was no longer an outsider or a reluctant hero, but part of something greater than herself. a galactic community striving to unlock the secrets of the cosmos. As the ceremony concluded, Samantha found herself approached by a group of wide-eyed new students. Among them was another human, the Institute's second-ever Earth student. "Is it true?" the young man asked eagerly. "Did you really save the galaxy with a dance?" Samantha laughed. "It's a bit more complicated than that. But I'll tell you what, why don't we all grab a meal in the dining hall, and I'll explain how a bunch of Earth birds helped us solve a galactic crisis." As they walked away, chattering excitedly, Dr. Zixlara watched with satisfaction. She turned to Professor Kix, who had materialized beside her. "You know," she mused, "a year ago, the computer gave Samantha's presence a 12.7% chance of significantly impacting the Institute. I wonder what it would say now." Professor Kix's facets twinkled with amusement. "Perhaps, Headmistress, some things are better left unmeasured. The impact of a truly revolutionary idea, after all, can ripple across the cosmos in ways no algorithm can predict." As night fell on the Galactic Institute of Higher Learning, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter. In classrooms and laboratories, in dormitories and common areas, minds from 1,000 worlds came together, sharing ideas, challenging assumptions, and pushing the boundaries of knowledge. And at the heart of it all was a human girl who had dared to think differently, reminding an ancient galaxy that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe is a fresh perspective. The story of Samantha Chen and the quantum anomaly would be told for generations to come. But it was only the beginning. For in the vast tapestry of the cosmos, every thread, no matter how seemingly insignificant, has the potential to change the entire pattern. As for Samantha herself, she stood at the window of her room, gazing out at the star-studded expanse. A year ago, she had arrived here feeling small and overwhelmed. Now, she felt connected to something vast and wonderful, a galactic community united in the pursuit of knowledge and understanding. With a smile, she turned back to her desk, where a new assignment awaited. There were still so many mysteries to solve, so many wonders to discover. And thanks to the lessons learned in the past year, the entire galaxy was ready to face them together. The future, it seemed, was looking brighter than ever.